to try to wrest away power for themselves. And the second question is really, will powers around Egypt be prepared to see a functioning democracy take place in Egypt with the messages it sends to countries nearby that don't have a democracy?
Well, I mean, that's actually, there are two schools of thoughts. One is that when we had the referendum 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and then you had 77% of the voting power coming in and saying yes to the constitution as it is, and 23% saying no with the changes that they wanted, because they wanted more change, they wanted more time in terms of really creating political parties which can be easily come into the elections in a year down the road rather than doing it 6 months down the road. So I think that's one school of thought which says, okay, we want to go back to the north, we prefer stability. But I disagree with that school of thought. I think Egypt, we were talking about, I could not answer your question earlier on, I think Egypt is the tipping basically thing which is happening in the Arab world. It's the pivotal country. I don't think Egypt will go back to what it was before 25th of January. It's gone. The people of Egypt have spoken. I think the fear factor, which is the most important factor in Egypt now, has gone. So people will always now come out if they don't like what's happening. It will take its time. I mean, the point that Yusuf was making, I think the issue is much more towards not who's going to be in government, but how the process of sustainability starts coming into the country. Because stability will only come through sustainability now. No longer stability by basically hitting people over their head. We've had only a country like Egypt. I think I remember told you this in Davos. It's a rich country with poor people. It's always been a rich country with poor people. But now the time has come that where the poor people are saying we want to be. This is the first revolution in over, God, 6,000 years, a real revolution done by the people in Egypt. So this is the time for the people. And I think sustainability is the key. So I think the political way we're going to go forward, we're going to go ups and downs, but it's not going to go back to what it was before. As an investor from outside looking in, if I'm looking short term to medium term, I say, wait a second, let me wait, see how things will progress. But I've always been a believer in Egypt, and I'm a believer now, and we're still carrying on and really looking into things in Egypt because it is a great market in long-term basis, simply because of 82 million people who are suddenly in that part of the world saying, we are there. Just look at Turkey. Could be another Turkey.
Yeah. Well, the move to a functional democracy is going to take time, and I think and do you see the world support? I mean, other democratic nations need to be able to support Egypt and have to be very vocal on that. Are you seeing enough being said, whether it's from Europe, UK, the United States? It's very important that we all support these democratic moves. And are you seeing enough world support?
Terry, can I just get you to hold the answer to that question? The finance minister has joined Yusuf. We just want to get across and find out what he has to say on this day. Yusuf, let's come out to you here. Yeah, no, we've got a problem with Yusuf's microphone. Do you want to have a go?
Yeah, I think actually what's happened, let's call the real democracies in the world, they took a catch-up approach to Egypt, which I think it was a very negative thing from a people perspective. That's what you hear from the people, from the street, that it was a very bad thing that everybody was catching up rather than coming in and supporting the move by the people. I think the people of Egypt now, it is on their shoulders rather than the shoulders of others. They have to basically show the world that they are a democratic country. The process is going to be tough, and that they're going to open up. The SMEs, it's a fantastic opportunity in Egypt. With that 82 million people, we are talking really creating business opportunities. We've had, I mean, majority of the people in Egypt are below the age of 30 years old, and they are 60 to 70%, depends on which numbers you look at. So that is a substantial number, and a lot of those were out of the economy. Just imagine bringing them into the economy. Some of them will be basically not there, but a lot of them will prove themselves through entrepreneurship. So I think it's only positive, and it's only on the shoulders of the Egyptians themselves, rather than the outside world. The outside world will respect them, like Turkey again.
There's a strong education foundation.
Bear with us, we think we fixed our... Khalid Janahi is with us. He's chairman of Nasij and co-chair of the World Economic Forum's Global Agenda Council on the Middle East. We're going to let you go in a minute, Khalid, but I do want to ask you about Saudi Arabia before we let you leave. It's a tough question, but everybody in the market is concerned, I think, that how the Saudi government plays this will ultimately determine things like where the oil price goes and whether we see other states make a bid for some kind of democratic outcome?
Yeah, actually, I'll come to that in a sort of in a conclusion perspective. Coming to your point, what's happened in Egypt has got its ripple across the Arab world and actually elsewhere, even to China. I mean, people are saying, no longer we are subjects, we are citizens. So everybody wants inclusivity, everybody wants basically to make their governments accountable, and everybody's saying we have to have a part of that pie. It's not just for few people, it's for everyone included. So I think we're going to see substantial reform happening across the Middle East, either through what's happening like in Egypt or Libya, or what's going to be happening in the Gulf. I think reform will be the way forward, and I think it's leapfrogging the reform factor and the evolution, rather than just doing it step by step. No longer we can basically kid the world and kid our own people saying, we are not good enough for democracy. Democracy is not in our DNA.
Can I move you on to the Saudi? I'm
coming to this point because I think Saudi, like any other country, I think there'll be substantial reform happening in Saudi Arabia. I think they're going to go forward big time with changes. I'm hoping it's going to happen fairly fast because the King Abdullah, everybody basically is putting their faith on him. He's the one who's going to bring substantial reform. So the hope is that's going to happen fairly fast, and we're going to see it happening in order that it trickles down into the economy and in terms of people being basically more included in the way going forward. It's not going to happen overnight in terms of really coming from like to be in Egypt, but it will be in terms of inclusiveness.
Okay, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure getting your insights once again.
It's always good to come here in a small box as it is.
Thank you, thank you. Khalid Janahi, let's just take a quick break here. We'll be back in just a moment.